Hello. So can make my camera not make me look washed out.
Oops, let me fix those lights from the window.
That sunlight, Robin? Oh yeah, it is. It looks nice.
Well, it makes me a little too sparkly.
Oh, I see my glasses.
Liam, you might be able to see that a number of people are joining related to the Lake Wyola topic, so we might want to switch things around in the order that I had on the agenda, just FYI, if you decide to as chair.
Yeah, I think that might make the most sense. I'm wondering maybe we could start with the minutes once Miriam shows up, and then we could just dive straight into the topic.
Yep. There's Miriam.
Hi,
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm in the middle of a home addition project. Every day's a crisis.
Let's see.
We just
What? It's not done yet?
we discovered carpenter ant damage.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. I want to tear out all the sheetrock and all the siding in the entire house.
All right, so I guess we should get started since it's 7:01. Miriam, I don't know if you heard, but I think we're gonna move the Lake Wyola topic to the top of the agenda after the minutes, just because some folks are here already to talk about it. So, but first of all, Tessa, would you be able to read your customary virtual statement, please?
Yes. So following the governor's restrictions on public meetings, this meeting is being held virtually using zoom.com for remote participation only. The public may access it following the instructions on this meeting's agenda posted on the town calendar. If, despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide real-time access, the public can request a recording of this meeting by contacting the town clerk.
Great, thank you. So first, let's start by considering the minutes from the May 27th meeting. Did folks have a chance to look those over?
I did. I only found one minor typo, but all the stuff in there seemed to reflect what happened at that meeting.
Yes.
Looked good to me too.
I just found one typo where it said no instead of not.
That's the one I was referring to.
I appreciate the very detailed reads on both your parts.
It's in the unanticipated business on page 3.
All right. So I will move that we accept the minutes with the minor typo amended.
Mary, I'll second.
All right, roll call vote. DeFont,
Aye.
Harrington, David, sorry,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
and Cregan, aye. All right, so let's just jump on into the Lake Wyola topic. Hi, Donna, nice to meet you. This is my first time seeing you either in person or virtually.
Liam, yeah, we spoke on the phone once, but yes, nice to see the face with the voice.
Did we speak on the phone once?
Yes, we did. Regarding my plans to rebuild. So it wasn't like association business. And it's not
Okay.
just, you helped, you answered a few questions.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't
Okay.
realize that. I could not remember that. So it's nice to meet you, and I'm sorry that I don't remember.
No
Excuse me,
worries.
Liam, it's Tracy. I just wanted to say that I am on LWAC. I'm not here representing LWAC, but Mark Rivers, the chair, did send us out an email to ask us to come to this meeting. So did you put an agenda out where they may have thought that they should come on the meeting later? I just heard you saying you're moving it to the beginning, and I was just wondering if other people might think it's later and they're not here yet.
So it's on the agenda. There's no time for it since it's not a public hearing. But if you think that other folks might be coming, we could wait a little bit to see about that and cover some other topics.
I really have to say that I don't know. I don't have any more information than what I just told you. I was assuming I was going to see a few LWAC people here. So I'll let you make your choice based on that.
Mel? Could somebody
Okay, well,
send them? an email?
how about we cover a few topics, and maybe by 7:15, if other folks haven't showed up, then we'll have a discussion then.
Okay.
So let's just jump into the top of the lake topic then. Is this a Tessa edition?
This was actually a Penny Jakes edition, and she's not on the call. So
Right.
I'm not sure. I assume she had some sort of update regarding the projects that are happening on the top lake, but I'm
She
not.
told us she would be here. Didn't
That's
she,
right.
Liam?
She did. And I think we both know what she was talking about. So she purchased a number of plantings for the top of the lake conservation area. And they're going to be planted in the near future. They're shrubs. She had about 10 in her yard, and I think there's about 10
Yeah.
more in a friend's yard that they're both tending to before that they are planted.
Great.
So that's pretty much the gist. If Penny shows up, we'll tell her we relayed that info.
Do you know where they're going on the property? Are they going by the?
I'm assuming they're going to be going, I don't remember what the plan looked like, but
It was along the fences on the side, and maybe some in the border, next to the water. But I think a lot of it was along the fences to help give the neighbors, a little more privacy, or give us privacy from the neighbors or whatever.
Thank you.
all right. So end of Massachusetts state of emergency on June 5th and update from the select board meeting.
Yeah, so I wasn't a huge update from the select board meeting the other night. Seems like there's not transitioning to in-person at this point, and possibly a hybrid, like hybrid situation moving forward. So it's not clear. The state of emergency is ending on June 15th, and possibly there'll be new legislation on that date. So that would be helpful or whether we're going to have to go back into person because of the ending of the state of emergency. So the main update is that things are up in the air, and then we'll just have to keep an eye on the governor's.
I don't really understand how the hybrid would work, unless it's like some people are meeting in person, looking at a laptop with a bunch of people on Zoom.
Yeah, one example I'd heard from another town was that they, in order for everyone to hear, each commission member had their own laptop in front of them and they were logged in so that voices were heard. That is complicated and maybe not affordable for every town. So I'm not really
More of a
sure.
reverb from all the microphones picking things up multiple times.
Yeah, that's always a possibility too with technology. So a lot of unknowns at this point, but something definitely will change probably on June 15th. Hopefully we'll get more information from the governor.
Okay, so the 511 Pratt Corner Road emergency certification.
So Mary David and I were at that visit. I don't know if you want to give an update, Mary.
So yeah, we went out to take a look and met with the property owner and with Alan Wise to look at where their other system has failed, what the plans were, and where they wanted to put the new septic system. You know, we did take a look around because there is a stream running, you know, quite a distance away. That is a stream, but where they're putting it is not, it's not quite as close to that. There's not any wetlands. It really does appear to be the only logical place to be able to put in a new system. The old system, I guess, was over 50 years old. So the plans and where he wanted to put everything looked really good. His plans for protecting the area and what they were going to put down for protection looked good. You have a copy of that plan. I gave copy to you, right, Tessa?
Yes, there's a file folder at the town hall for the project. And so I don't know if the other commissioners got to take a look at the emergency certification that certificate, I think, emergency certificate that I sent out. So it can be signed by one commissioner because it's an emergency. The system had failed and we got sign off by the Board of Health that it was an emergency. So what has to happen tonight, if the other commissioners agree, is that gets voted on so that it's solidified.
Oh yeah, Tessa and I signed it, and like she said, the Board of Health meeting approved it needing to be done too.
Okay, well, I would agree that it probably needs to be done, so
Yep.
I'm comfortable with it.
Me too.
We need a motion and a vote on that, or just?
Yes, yeah, we'll need a formal vote for that you approve the emergency certification for 511 Pratt Corner Road.
So I propose that we approve the emergency certification, which is replacing the septic system that failed at 511 Pratt Corner Road.
This is Liam, I second that. And we'll do a roll call vote. David,
Aye.
DeFont,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
and Cregan, aye.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, fiscal year 21 annual report.
So even though, so the fiscal year technically ends at the end of this month, and because Robin was here for that whole year, I was gonna ask her if she felt comfortable writing the report. There is a template, and I've been updating a Excel spreadsheet that has the log of everything that happened. So not a demand, but a request, I guess, if Robin felt comfortable to do that.
I would want to meet with you or someone ahead of time and sort of outline what I need to do, but I'm happy to make a go at it.
Awesome. So we can arrange just the two of us to figure that out.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's dive into site visit follow-up. There was the Southbrook Vernal Pool certifying and trail mapping visit, which was last week, I believe. Tessa, Robin, and I went out to finish mapping the trails on the Southbrook Conservation Area. We're fairly confident we got all the trails at this point, but we're not 100% sure. We're really close if we're not there, though. And we also took a look at the vernal pool that we had discussed dried up at the last meeting. There was water in it again after some of the heavy rains. There was actually about 6 inches of water, and it was fairly large again. And we found some of the spotted salamander egg masses that we had previously identified, but there weren't any evidence of larvae in there. It was just the gelatinous mass. So I think what we are thinking happened is that they actually died when it dried out. So that's unfortunate. But I think there is potential to go back there next spring to document egg masses if they are there again, and submit that to natural heritage. So that was the gist of that visit. It's kind of sad to think that the salamanders didn't hatch, though.
Yeah, it was sad because you guys brought me, oh, we want to show you, we have to go to this vernal pool, and I could see the egg masses, and I've been seeing them elsewhere when I've been hiking, and so it was just so sad. It was like, but there's nothing in them.
Yeah, it's too bad. Because they're all in the same spots that they were before. There were no larvae in there.
We've got them in our vernal pool.
Oh, awesome. They've hatched?
Yes, and we got tadpoles, all sorts of critters.
That's really great.
That is.
Have you certified it?
Well, I don't know if I can certify it because it has an outlet. That was one of my
Oh,
questions.
that's right. We had that discussion.
That
We'll have to delve deeper into that.
It's really a BVW, which I shouldn't say out loud on my property.
All right, so we're approaching 7:15. It doesn't appear that anybody else has shown up yet. So I think maybe we should dive into the Lake Wyola topic. And so just to frame this conversation, this topic initially came up because there were concerns about tree cutting without the lake, and there was some questions about how the commission had handled tree cuttings in the past. And in the past, we had not required paperwork for them, and we had simply just asked for folks to ask permission, and typically we would say yes. But after reaching out to DEP, we found out that we should probably be requiring a bit more paperwork, which is a request for determination. And then there was also somebody put in a dock without permission semi-recently. And we kind of thought that we would want to just have a conversation with folks who live around the lake or represent folks who live around the lake, and mainly propose that or ask that you potentially distribute information about what would require a permit and what wouldn't. And Tessa actually prepared a document that she could share with folks.
I think you're missing one piece, which is that somebody had also come to the commission with concerns about the road drainage.
Yes.
And concerns about drainage pipes discharging into the lake that may not be permitted.
Yeah. So there was that aspect too. So potential sediment loading that the commission is not aware of, and that could be potentially harmful to the lake ecosystem. So that is really why we have invited folks here. I'm not sure how we want to proceed with that conversation. So Donna's here from the Lake Wyola Association, right?
Yes. I'm the president of the association, here representing the association, and we sent the link to this meeting to the entire membership, everyone that we have an email for. And we use some of your wordings about, concerns for the lake or something this meeting. So we're happy to forward information for you anytime. Because we
Okay,
all
great.
care about keeping the lake healthy and safe.
Are the people who emailed us recently here tonight? I don't, was it someone named George? Or I don't remember the name. The email that
Maybe
was
Bob
sent.
Douglas.
Yes, I'm
He,
sorry, thank
he
you.
wasn't able to attend, but I'm in communication with him.
Okay. Who's saying that?
I'm Melissa Hidasco. I emailed you.
Hi. Right.
Hi.
Great. And Melissa, you've been on a discussion about the lake previously, right?
I hopped on a couple months ago, I think, maybe a month or two ago, when this discussion began. But I wasn't able to stay for the entire meeting because I have a young child who had a bedtime.
Understandable.
But I've been in communication with Tessa a little bit over email.
Okay. And Tracy, you're on the Lake Wildlife Advisory Committee, right?
I am, but I'm not here representing the committee.
Okay.
That was-
You're a lake resident as well?
I'm a lake resident and I'm a member of LWA.
Okay, great.
And Tracy, were you the one who came to us like a couple months ago? Or am I getting you mixed up with somebody else?
No, that was me. That was me. I feel like it was less than a couple of months ago, but time, not
Slipped away.
Yeah, that was me.
If I could just clarify something and kind of piggybacking on what Donna said, this is Megan and my husband Steve. We have a house on the lake. The communication that was sent to the Lake Whale Association just said that the meeting was about how the Wetlands Protection Act and the local wetland bylaws protect the lake. So I don't know if folks were really informed that there'd be a kind of in-depth conversation about docks, tree removal and things of that nature. So I would just be
Yeah, so I mean, the
cautious
reason
of making any sweeping decisions without further input.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm bringing those up is because those were kind of the things that sparked us starting to think more about this. So we don't necessarily want to come to any specific, policy, but we put together a document that kind of summarizes different activities on the lake. So that and kind of the associated Wetlands Protection Act paperwork that would be required for that. So that's really the main thing that we have done. We haven't really changed any major policies or anything like that.
We just want to communicate them. I
You
had a
want
question.
to put that up and show it to people so they can see what we're.
Yeah, that's probably a good
Can you
idea.
put it up, Tessa, so they can see what the fact.
Yeah,
sheet
let me
is?
work on that.
I had a question about the policy regarding docks, because I thought I remember somebody saying that the licenses for docks can expire. Do they need to be renewed?
I'm not sure.
I think they're good for like 10 years or 15 years. They last a while.
Do you want to know a little bit about the whole dock permitting process on the lake though? Who are any of the commissioners residents on the water? Because the process we went through was terrible. And it's nonsensical that there's actually permits required for these kind of docks because they're all temporary docks. And the intent was really for when people live on the ocean and they're putting in piered docks or very large lakes with very permanent structures. So all of the terminology that's outlined in the Chapter 91 requirements for the dock don't even apply to the lake. And given the size of the lots at the lake, you wouldn't even be able to have a functional dock. So I mean, it's kind of I mean, I don't, if your intent to have a dock permit is so people do things appropriately and they don't erode the soil, I mean, I think that makes sense and maybe education would be helpful there. But going and requiring everyone to get a dock permit on the lake is just not logical, given how, the DEP sets forth the rules. The person that is reviewing the dock is just looking on Google Earth. Like they're not coming out, they don't understand Lake Wyola and how it works. And, in some cases they don't even follow through. So it was a very challenging process that we went through for the Chapter 91 license, and it's not, I'd rather see good education on not to erode the soil by putting in a dock that hurts the lake, rather than going through the motions of a requirement that doesn't really even apply to the lake, if you follow what I'm saying.
So if you actually
Okay.
look at Chapter 91, it does, Lake Wyola is listed as a great pond. And with that, those Chapter 91 requirements do hold for the lake.
No, I understand.
Yes, it does seem like it's a really tedious process. I agree with when looking.
But it's just, you have to have the dock centered. You have to do this or that. Like you have to, there's specific requirements that really don't lend itself to a 40 or 50 foot, frontage, and they're all removable. They're not driven into the soil. So the only people that have dock permits on the lake are people that have gone through a Conservation Commission project that it's then been required. I think you're better served overall is just educating people not to erode the bank and do the right
Right.
thing.
And in general, we want at least an RDA for a new dock, because that is a chance for us to talk with the landowner about this.
Are you gonna go around to every resident and tell them they need a permit then?
No, we're not gonna do
I mean,
that.
you're gonna get
So what
selective
we're proposing
enforcement
is that
people.
any new docks require this paperwork. And
That's any dock you put in any summer. All the
So,
docks
yes,
are
that's
removed.
what we'll
They're physically
propose.
removed from the water.
okay, so essentially what we're proposing is that when a new dock that is gonna be going in every summer is being proposed, that's when we're gonna ask for an RDA, if that makes sense to you. We're not gonna be
It's-
doing it retroactively. And that is separate from the Chapter 91 license. That's not something that the Concom oversees. Just to be clear.
So what's the RDA? I know it's a request for determination or something like that, but how does that pertain to a dock?
So since you're doing work on, or potentially in a buffer zone, like you guys did a tear down rebuild for a house,
Yeah.
right? It's the same process. So
We're gonna
you
get
could
a lot
expect
of
something
pushback for
similar.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if that's what it is, it's pretty much, since everybody's for that, it's on the water, it's all gonna result in the same outcome, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be situation to situation, but we're generally not gonna say no to a dock. What we want is a paper trail and a record for the state and for the Concom of this work being done.
Okay.
And don't we also want to have a conversation about how the work's done to make sure that appropriate
Exactly.
erosion controls are put in place? I mean, really kind of some of that educational piece that, you guys were just talking about. That's part of what happens when people come to us is, we have a conversation and make sure that they understand what to do proper way.
When I looked up last year that when we were going through the whole process for our project, I didn't see anything that the state had a permit for their dock over at the state beach. So I'm just saying.
I mean, sorry, we've gone through this, through this very long process, and to force people to do even the RDA I mean, everyone's put their dock in already, or they're going to this weekend. They're never going to think of contacting you unless you go there and they get fined or something.
Right. So Megan, we understand that there's a lot of docks that have been put in and that don't have Chapter 91 licenses. That's
But
not
even
what
this
we're proposing.
RDA, so if it's not, what if I buy a used dock? I don't have to go to you because it's not a new dock?
No,
I just
if
think.
it's a dock that is being put in for the first time on a property, that's what we're proposing.
No, I understand.
So I understand that it's frustrating and that you went through this process that was not fun, but
Well, the dock is, yeah,
we're
my
trying
point is,
to
I
adhere
just
to
think,
the regulations. So that's really all that we're doing.
I think it'd be nice, and maybe when things are more in person. I mean, jump in, Donna, but when we have our annual meetings, it'd be nice if you came and pointed out things that are negative, will negatively impact the lake. Like, hey, folks, like this dock is hurting the lake because you've put it here, or, you know, some examples of where there'd be an issue.
Sure.
Can I
I'm
jump
not trying to be difficult. It's just,
Liam, could I jump in
Yes.
for a moment here?
Mhm.
So one thing that I want to point out is that the Lake Wyola Association is a nonprofit charitable organization that's primary responsibility is to exclusively provide charity and education. So Lake Wyola Association should be collaborating with the CONSCOM regularly and transmitting this information to the Lake Wyola Association members. It shouldn't be that CONSCOM has to actively seek us out. We are supposed to be doing that as an association.
Yes, and as I was saying when I had my little opening 1 minute there, we're happy, more than happy to forward anything. And we started over the winter on a push for education and more environmental stuff. I'm all over this. Now, this is the first I'm hearing about this dock issue. And what it sounds like to me, listening to both sides, I mean, there's no sense, well, so the RDA, I guess, is a small nightmare. Now, I want to protect all the banks of the lake. Could we have some sort of a different paperwork trail instead of something so complicated where the homeowner would say, I want to put in a dock, and you would come by, but maybe not on like the state level and not such a nightmare.
RDA is not
No.
state level, right?
So what an RDA is, it's a request for determination of applicability. So what that means is you're actually requesting the CONCOM to determine whether the Wetlands Protection Act applies to this. And typically in the case of the dock or in the case of Megan's tear down rebuild, we actually gave a negative determination, which means we were allowing this work to happen in a resource area. So it is going to be something that is tracked on the state level. The CONCOM is going to have a record of it. And that's the point, because there's state laws that require that. And the CONCOM is the regulatory body that has to do that. So we can't really just say, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, you're mandated by the state to do that.
Correct. So that, I mean, and that's why, as I mentioned earlier, we prepared this document that would kind of outline the types of work that would require an RDA or other types of paperwork. So, and that's kind of our idea as far as starting this conversation about education. And, you know, we haven't really considered the ecological side as far as educating the public on what types of activities are going to harm the lake ecologically, because we're really so tied up in this administrative side of things. So that's where we're coming from. And I guess one good starting point, I think, Donna, would be sharing with you that document to distribute to Lake Wyola Association members. And then also potentially, you know, having that as a handout at the annual meeting or something like that, that folks get.
Yeah, we can send it out both ways. We can do, because our June meeting is Zoom. So we can send it out. We've already sent out everything, but we can send it out as an email blast that goes to everybody. And then we could do hard copies at the August annual meeting, so they get it twice.
Could I ask a question? I don't think I got this clarified. For the purposes of this document, since it's mentioning the Chapter 91 licenses, I understand we're not responsible for those licenses, but for the sake of clarity, is it the responsibility of the landowner to renew those licenses when they expire? And should we make that clear in this document? Not that we're doing that ourselves, but make it as just so that people are aware of this. I don't have an answer for that question.
It's
I
on the
guess-
deed, like it's on your, it's a deed restriction
No, it's not a deed
Or,
restriction.
uh,
It gets
recorded,
recorded.
sorry.
The permit gets recorded.
and it has an expiration date.
So it is supposed to be renewed.
Every 10 or 15 years, whatever it's good for, I forget.
So maybe we should, on this document, that policy, remind people of that. Because I imagine a lot of people who don't do it.
We're almost a year in and it's over $700 spent so far and still haven't gotten anything from the state. So if these things were that important, I think it'd be a little
Hold
different.
on, you didn't spend $700 trying to get your dock approved.
Just the
did
dock
you?
permit
We
was
had-
over $700.
You have to do a public notice. We had to have it put on our
Ma'am?
site plan. We had to
And you
have,
have a
we
public
had to pay an
hearing.
engineer to do that. We had to have a public
Come
hearing.
on,
You have to pay for the permit. So it's not an easy process, and the DEP is very inaccessible and refuses to answer your questions on anything. So it's been very frustrating for us. So it's I'll put the dock in, let them come yank it out and find me.
Liam?
I don't care.
help,
Yes.
help, $700, and they've been through months and months, and it's not even done yet. So let's back up. And why is it $700?
Well, you have to do a public notice, and the public notice, I can pull up my files, but it was over $350 to run it in the newspaper. And then you have to have the public hearing.
You have to send out registered
You have to send out
servant letters.
registered letters.
And then you have to pay, we have to pay an engineer they required us to have an engineer put the dock on our site plan, so we had to pay an engineer to do that. And then there was
And that's all independent of the rebuild
and then
that we
there's
had approved.
the chapter 91 application that was cheap. If you do the simple app form, that's only $75. That was a cheap part of the process. So the permit fee, the actual physical application fee is $75 for that, but it's all the stuff around there that adds up. And then we were told that we submitted everything properly, and then 8 months later, they said, well, I know you submitted the proper forms, but I'd prefer it if you resubmitted with these other forms that I like better. So I'm
We kind of gave up.
we just gave up.
Liam,
It's,
I'd like to suggest we maybe move on to some of the other topics, because we really can't respond to what Mass DP requires unless we want to set up another meeting at some point with Mark Stinson present, perhaps, to answer people's questions or discuss concerns, because that's sort of out
I'd
of our
love to talk to Mark
jurisdiction.
Stinson.
If you want the association to distribute this information, we do need to discuss this more, or at least for my comfort.
Yeah, I'm happy to screen share the document that I put together that outlines projects versus what permits are required.
But that's the $700 8-month version.
So the chat, my document just mentions, I mean, I can screen share. It just mentions that you require chapter 1. The fee setting is, chapter 91 is completely state. I mentioned it just to share information. The $700, that's completely the state money. We have no control over how much they set their application fees.
or what the requirements are.
Yeah, and
So
likewise with the Wetland Protection Act, we can't control what is mandated by the state. The Conservation Commission has to abide by the Wetland Protection Act.
Could I interject here for a moment? So what I'm hearing here is that there's some disputes about the state requirements and the extent to which they require people to go to put in a dock, which is, again, not the Conservation Commission's in their purview, but just their information to pass along. But these requirements are state law. And so as the Lake Wyola Association, whose whose tax exempt and exclusively charitable and educational function is environmental in nature, as it states in its articles of organization. So regardless of whether Lake Wyola Association likes the rules, it would still be their responsibility to pass on the requirements to not only the membership, but because it's not supposed to just, it's not a member, it's a member driven organization, but it's a public charity. So it needs to go to everybody who lives around the lake. And not everybody who lives around the lake chooses to be a member. So I think that the Conservation Commission should know that. So the list, Donna, that you're talking about sending it to, which is an issue we've had here for quite some time, is that folks who are not members, for example, like when the testing comes back that people shouldn't be swimming in the water, the notice doesn't go out to everybody who might be swimming in the water. So I think that it's important that either a decision be made by Conservation Commission that you are all going to send it out yourselves to everybody on the lake, or Lake Wyola Association could send it out to their marketing list as opposed to their membership list. That would be my recommendation, the marketing list.
Yeah. Yes. But even our marketing list, we'll call it, isn't everybody. I mean, we can't send it to, there's like 200 something cottages around the lake area. Just don't have all the emails. That would be Conscom's responsibility somehow. Maybe US Mail, or I don't
Can you
know.
send it to the taxpayers? I mean, the address for each.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe
Someone's paying the taxes.
perhaps a proposal that would solve this is couple of things. We could, perhaps the Lake Association would be willing to distribute to the emails they do have. We also have a town-wide email list. We can circulate it to anybody who's registered on that town-wide email list for notifications that make people imagine around the lake have it. And the other question is whether we want as a commission to send out a snail mail notice to lake residents, which we could do.
And
Yeah,
the education part, I need more education on this. So what are the bad things, the bad ways to put in a dock? What makes a good dock and a bad dock? I'm sure it has something to do with erosion, but let's educate the waterfront people about that.
Yeah, what have been the
Specifically.
issues to bring this about?
So I think just given the commission's capacity, we don't necessarily have time to answer that question individually all the time. And I would prefer to do it within the context of a public meeting, or by preparing something to distribute to lake residents. I really don't think we can just keep answering that question over and over again on an individual basis, personally.
Was that already answered on this meeting that I missed? Sorry. Or are these sidebar conversations you're referring to?
What I am proposing is that we do that not by answering that question now, but by answering it either by preparing some information or in sharing that with the listserv, or potentially inviting folks with that intention, rather than answering it to you folks and then having to answer it over and over again. Do you understand what I mean?
Got it.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion.
You could
I'd like to propose.
to come to the Lake Wyola Association hall and call and ask them to explain it. You could do that through the Lake Wyola Association, because the education would meet the criteria of education. So you could do that instead of having the Conservation Commission have to do it, because that is why we have tax status.
Right. So one of the things that I was hoping to get out of this meeting was to just agree that you all would send out that document that we prepared that essentially just communicates paperwork that we need to receive if you're doing a certain type of project on the lake.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we'll send that over to you. And if we can get you some hard copies for the meeting in August, that would be great.
Oh, mhm.
And
Yes.
there are resources online. And if you are really concerned about, you know, the education aspect, feel free to reach out and we can keep talking about it. But I think for now, I want to move on from this topic.
Okay.
Is that it for LWA, Liam?
Well,
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you very much. Ran a good meeting.
Thank you.
Can I ask a
Donna?
question?
Yeah, sure.
When you contacted me and asked me to attend, you said it was about trees, cutting trees.
Oh, yeah. So that, and I said that at the beginning of this conversation. The initial reason we started thinking more about this is because folks were asking about tree cutting, and we do want to require paperwork for that now too, if it's within the 100-foot buffer zone of the lake.
Okay, and is that, Tessa, is that in that document?
Yes, it is. It is on the list when I talk about buffer zones. I mean, Liam, with your permission, I could share it quickly just so they could see
Yeah, that'd be
what
great.
it looks like. Yeah, I kept it to a one-page document.
Liam, before we move on, are we going to talk about the email that we received about discharge in the lake?
Sorry, Miriam, you got really quiet.
Oh, my hand on. Before we move on from this topic, are we going to discuss the email that was sent to the commission about discharge in the lake?
Well, so I don't know if I want to dive into that right now. I mean, we have Emily Stockman she did a study a little while ago, and we have some information in town hall about it. I don't know if I necessarily want to dive into that right now.
Are we going to respond to the person who contacted us about it or invite them to come talk about it?
That sounds like a better idea to me.
What, can I ask what kind of discharge this was? Is it from the septic system or something?
We're not sure. So somebody wrote to the commission that they know about outlets into the lake that aren't permitted. We don't know what's coming out of them. So
The most recent email
more
was
likely
about
stormwater.
Yeah, the most recent email, it was stormwater issues with sediment. It seemed like the water was high enough velocity that it was able to carry sediment was the concern.
You know, this seems like it's part of a larger question that's been raised before. I think it was Tracy, I think maybe you were the one who brought this concern before the Conservation Commission about road discharge and drains for the roads around Lake Whale. And I guess I wonder, how are we going to address this with, you know, since Donna's here, do we want to schedule a meeting to specifically address that? Maybe have Mark Stinson present for that? Seems like we need to have a plan.
Yeah, I mean, if that's something, Donna, that you're open to have a check-in with Mark Stinson, just to hear DEP's take on things too, that is something we could look into scheduling.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, all around the lake, sediment's a problem. And we are addressing that all the time with our road work. We realize that sediment is bad, even if it's clean, which it probably isn't, but even if it's clean sediment, we don't want it going into the lake. We're working hard over on the Great Pines area. A couple of years we've been working on that. We had problems this winter over at Laurels. We were out there once. Yeah, I hear you.
So the email complaint was about someone who felt, the way I understood it was somebody who felt that a bypass drain that they were required to have on their property as part of their septic system was being being flooded with road sediment. Was that, am I summarizing it?
I can't remember exactly what the email said right now. So
That was my interpretation. That
Yeah.
to put it
Happy-
in a nutshell, I mean, the person raised a lot of concerns, but that they felt that the bypass drain that they were required to have as part of their septic design was becoming overwhelmed, and they showed some discharge into the lake.
okay, well, I don't know if we're gonna have a productive conversation by continuing to speculate on this right now. I think what would make more sense is scheduling another meeting down the line.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
So I'll just quickly share the form just so everyone gets a chance to look at what we've been talking about. And let
Thank
me
you,
know.
Tessa.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and, is it big enough or should I make it bigger?
It's good.
Okay, so yeah, kept it to one page to try and make it user friendly. Kind of list some top project types that have come up a lot, and then just addressing which paperwork is often required. And then there are some exempt activities, so I tried to list where you can learn more specifically about that as well.
So it's trying to be simple and clear.
That's the hope. Yeah.
I thought it was a nice summary. I found it helpful.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
This is Steve. I like this. I agree with the summary. I just have a question about the forms. The WPA Form 1, are those the ones that are on your webpage that you fill out and then submit to conservation? There's no fees associated with those to fill them out?
So there are sorry, I'm not being articulate. The RDA has a town bylaw fee of $25. And the notice of intent has a fee associated that the state sets when you submit it. So, and there's two options. You can submit it through the paper, mailing the paperwork, or they're now preferring the online EDP system, which calculates the filing fee for you.
Okay, for the tree cutting, I'm just saying, if I have a dead tree that's gonna fall over, do I have to pay money to tell you I'm gonna cut down a tree that has to get cut down? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, okay. If it's within that 100-foot buffer zone, then yes, it's a $25 for the RDA. And that's something we heard from DEP, because before, as Liam mentioned, the commission just been requiring a site visit, but the information we got from DEP was that was not what they wanted to see. They wanted a paper trail.
Just sounds like a money grab to cut down a tree if it's gonna fall on my house, that's all, but it is what it is.
All right, Tessa, do you want
I'll stop.
and then we can perhaps move on from this topic. All right, well, folks, thanks for coming out. This is a good conversation. We can be in touch about a follow-up conversation.
Yes, very good. It's all about education.
Thank you. Have a good
I
night.
learned a bit about the docs and that. Okay, so you'll forward that document to me, right, Tessa?
All right, great.
Okay.
Thank you all.
I can put it up on our website as well.
And DEP also gave me a document to share out about just general, when is a permit required kind of information.
Do you want me to, is that something I should go on the website?
Yeah, I think if we're putting up this, it would go along with it, yeah.
All right, if you send me, I already have this, but if you send me the other document, I'll.
Yeah, you should have it as well. I sent it out.
About landscaping?
Yes.
That
Yeah, it's
picture.
called landscaping, but it actually relates to like buffer zones, that kind of thing. it's exempt. I think.
All right. I see Penny's here. Hey, Penny. She might not be here.
I'm here. Sorry, I was muted. So I asked to be on tonight's agenda because I just wanted to give the commission a brief update on the little top of the lake park that I think all of you have been to at this point. And just to put it in context, this is a small piece of property. It's about 120 feet deep and 60 feet wide on the north end of Lake Wyola, right where Merrill Drive begins. And 3 years ago, the Community Preservation Committee funded a project to install a small park there that has a boat launch for just kayaks and canoes, 2 parking spots, some plantings, and some signage. So the update is that the fence is in, the stone steps in the bank that go down to the lake, and a couple of big flat stones in the lake bottom have been installed so that you can walk down the bank without eroding the soil there. And you can stand on a solid surface while you get in your canoe or your kayak, because the muck right there is pretty deep. And in my driveway right now, I have, as Liam saw and Robin saw, I have some native plants from Nasami Farm that will be installed soon. And I'm working with the town to write a letter to the abutter, who I think many of you know has been fairly hostile to the project. And he, I'm concerned that he may do some damage to the plantings. So I've asked the town to send a letter to him prior to installing the plants. And it will ask him a couple of things. And if you go through the file on this property, some of the things are things that he's been asked before. One is to stop mowing the property. One is, gosh, I don't have the letter in front of me. There are a couple of other things as well. I should have brought this letter up. Well, and Liam and Robin, you were on the commission at the time that we had the notice of intent hearing for this a year ago, January. At the time, Mr. Carey threatened to always have the 2 parking spots that are being installed filled with his cars. So it will state that he can't do that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else of significance. I think those are really the things. And just that the police will be regularly checking the property. And I'm hoping, because this is a Conservation Commission owned property on which I started this project back when I was on the commission, but I think the letter would have more strength if the Conservation Commission or some representative signed the letter. So I would love to send a copy of the letter to you. Becky has it right now, and have the commission sign as well. So I'm hoping you would agree to doing that.
I would
certainly
totally
be-
agree.
Penny, can you just tell me again where the property, where it is?
Okay, you live on the lake, so you know these roads better than I do, and I should know by now because I've driven on them for 30 years, but I forget their names. Is it Lakeview that goes past the state park?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so if you go from the state beach on Lakeview, you go a quarter of a mile maybe, and there's Merrill Drive
Okay,
before the association building. And this little property is, once you turn the corner, it's right there. And it has
Merrill Drive.
on Merrill Drive.
So there's the first house, which is the
Mr.
landowner
Carey's
that's
house.
really aggressive. And then it's the property in between that
And it's-
house and the
And
next.
it's conspicuous in that there's not a house on it. So it's small, but it's, around the lake, almost all the property is developed. So it does it's easy to find if you turn on to Merrill Drive there.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, but it just blows my mind that there have been no consequences for when he found out we were doing this and he was angry and he put up all those sawhorses to block it off and a big sign saying parking $10. So when the Lake Wyola parking lot got full, people would come down and he must have made hundreds of dollars of people parking there.
So in my mind, that was a good thing because I think it annoyed people in town to the point where they really got behind finishing this park. And
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, it's a lousy thing that he did this, but the side effect is that both the police and various other people in town hall were unhappy enough about this to get the project to move forward. So it's moving forward. It's going to be done by the end of the summer, and it's going to be lovely. Anyway, I hope you'll agree to sign the letter, and it's been kind of fun to work on.
Awesome. That's
I
good.
would
Thank you for
happily
the
sign that
update.
letter.
Yeah.
We updated everyone and we clearly missed a lot because we just talked about the native plantings.
Yeah. There are going to be some nice plants there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a bit of good news in what's been a challenging year. And
Penny, is there a deadline for getting the letter back to you?
well, you know, I should have sent you the letter earlier. Frankly, it didn't occur to me. Well, yes, this week. And that's only because I have $400 worth of shrubs in my driveway and I'm leaving on Friday. And I'm hoping to figure out a way to get them all in the ground before I go. I'm watering them every day at this point.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're approaching 8 o'clock and we have a public hearing to open.
I just
in-
have one more logistics question. Penny,
Yeah.
are you saying that you don't have a copy of the letter? Is that?
I have a copy of the letter and I'm going to send it to you
Okay.
as soon as I mute myself again.
Okay, because otherwise I wasn't sure how we'd get it from Becky in time for tomorrow to get it signed, so.
Yes, well, Becky hasn't okayed the letter yet, so I don't know that you can sign it, anyone can sign it yet, but if I send you the letter and you look at it tonight and feel like it's okay, perhaps some representative of the commission can sign off on it before, can come to town hall and sign off on it. Could we do it that way?
Yeah, I wonder, maybe Robin, I think you're the
Yeah,
closest.
I live practically around the corner. And
And
quick
we-
question, Penny.
Yep.
Did you mean you're leaving tomorrow or?
No, I'm leaving a week from tomorrow to go visit my daughter.
Okay, then you can call me because I am up for helping you plant these plants next week.
Well, okay, don't say that too loudly or I'll get you down there digging holes.
It's what I'm offering.
Okay, hot dog, Robin. Okay, well, I'm going to mute myself and Tessa, I will send you the letter within minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank
Sorry, we were putting you a minute late.
That's fine.
All right, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing for the ANRAD at lot ZD 37, the Montague Carver parcel. Hey, Maria,
Hi.
how you been?
So I want to start with an apology. I'm not sure if Tessa had an opportunity to tell everyone else, but our servers shut down. I don't know what happened to them. So I literally just got the updated map set a few minutes ago for this, which is why I have not sent it to you yet. I can screen share it though, if you'd like to see what it looks like.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
well, I know this has been going on for a while, so I feel a bit bad that I have not been as on top of this one as I think I've been on the other ones. So just as some background, this is the whole parcel in black here. I can can actually zoom in on this a little bit. The original project area that Emily has already peer reviewed is this area in the north that's immediately north of Carver Road. The expanded project area that you all have been waiting for is this lighter color that's south of Carver Road. And the reason for doing that expansion in the first place and adding it into the ANRAD is because the future project that they're hoping to propose, the interconnection point is apparently from off of Montague Road down here, so they have to go up this way. Right now, they have been negotiating with Carver Road to see if they can change that, but that hasn't gone anywhere to date. So our assumption is still that we need to go this way, but also the wetlands expanded significantly following Emily's review. So they had asked us to delineate more of this area so that they would have a little bit more space to work with. So that's just the background. I think that you all probably knew that, but I wanted to just throw it up there. With that said, this is the updated map. So we'll zoom in on this a little bit more. So this is basically what was delineated south of Carver Road. There's a very large wetland complex that actually started north of Carver Road and fills up, I think, like this whole area here. But it extends down through the bottom of the site and has another intermittent stream in it. So.
Okay. And you'll be sending this whenever, well, I guess you have it now, so relatively soon.
Yes, so the other thing that's been going on with this site is that we had promised a while ago during our site walk with Penny and Emily to provide the commission with documentation for the various potential vernal pools that we found on site. So I do have that pulled together. So that's going to be in this package.
Cool.
As part of that, there is a natural heritage vernal pool, certified vernal pool that was mapped approximately here on sheet 12. Emily and I went there and there was nothing there. So we contacted Natural Heritage and said, hey, can you give us the documentation for this vernal pool? Because it was documented decades ago. And so we have received that documentation. I'm going to be sending you that, but the photos and information in that documentation led us to positively believe that it's actually this vernal pool that we had found over here. So on this map set, we have moved that natural heritage location to the correct vernal pool. We are working with Natural Heritage to try to get the point updated on their end, but for the sake of not confusing people in the future, we put it with the pool that is actually that was actually documented.
Okay.
So
yeah, so you think it was just a mapping error?
Yeah, well, the documentation is about 25 years old, maybe slightly older than that. I think your friend Janice is the one that submitted the documentation.
Oh wow.
And yeah, no, it was pretty cool to see her name on it, but it was kind of before we started taking GPS units everywhere. So
yeah.
The documentation has lovely illustrations of like exactly where the vernal pool is and a description of where it is, but it's all like approximately this many feet down Carver Road kind of a thing. So Natural Heritage was never actually given, here are the coordinates of the vernal pool. They were just given an estimate.
Oh, well, that's really interesting. I'm excited to see that documentation.
Yeah, no, it was very
really
cool. So those are kinds of what's happened. I was trying to pull it all together into one thing to give you all at once. Once I get this to you, the idea is that Emily can write a new proposal for review of the area south of Carver Road, so that we
Yeah.
can finally get this wrapped up.
Great. So
Um,
do you have a sense of when might be a good time to have the next public hearing to kind of get that ball rolling on the peer review?
I was hoping that we might do your second meeting in July. It's ambitious. It means that I have to send this stuff to you like tonight, which was my plan anyway, but it was in limbo there for most of today. And I think that the main factor in terms of being able to meet that deadline at this point is really just like how long, I think that Emily can turn around a proposal very quickly. It's just a question of like how much time the commission needs in order to approve the proposal. I think because you have to approve it and we have to give you money before we're allowed to go out on site with Emily.
Right.
So like
Well, I'm wondering if we get this and we send it to Emily, if we could potentially get a proposal by next meeting, if we could approve it then. I think that seems
that was my
reasonable. It's 2 weeks from today or 2 weeks away from now.
right.
So if we shoot for that, I mean, yeah, I think maybe we could just go for the second week in July, and if we need to postpone further, we can.
That would be great.
Okay.
I mean, I guess as long as it looks good with the agenda, Tessa.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine. I don't think we've scheduled out that far. And I guess my question was when the money is when do you think the money would be sent out?
We're usually able to get that out pretty quickly. Like once you send us the proposal, we get the budget approved, and I think that we've generally been able to do that and get you the check like within the same week that you send us or tell us that the proposal's been approved. So I don't think that that's going to particularly hold things up.
Okay, so the idea would have the proposal approved by the 24th meeting.
Right. And that we'd have a check for you the following week.
Okay. So all right, so I need to pull up the calendar to see what date that is for. It would be, so the second Thursday is the 8th of July. There's not any
8th of July?
Oh, I was asking about the 22nd.
Second meeting.
The 22nd, sorry. Okay.
So I mean, it's basically means we'd get you a check the week of the 28th, and that hopefully we'd be able to have a site walk with Emily either later that week or early the following week, so that we could have plans for the 8th. So it's tight. I'm hoping that we can do it. We at least have, I think this is the last one that we really have major things to do on.
Do you mind if I just go over that one more time? Just run through those dates. So proposal approval on the June 24th, check following week, and then a site walk kind of combined with that week or the next week, and then for July, plans by the 8th, and then plans by July 8th, and then the meeting on July 22nd.
Right.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I had that all correct.
The one complication with this, or it's not a complication per se, this is one of the old sites that there was a typo in the original legal ad. So we had said a while ago that once we actually got to the peer-reviewed updated plan, that we would renotice everyone and put out a new legal ad. So basically our timeline for doing that is we would have to submit the new legal ad and send out the notices right around the 8th too. So it's like if for some reason we're not going to make the 8th deadline, then we would let you know, and we would just assume that we have to continue to another meeting.
Yeah, and I guess the other complication with that to be aware of is that being in person versus remote is, which you brought up in your email, is up in the air. So being able to write that notice, you'll have to be in touch with us. Yeah.
Yes, I'm definitely gonna stay in touch and stay
Unfortunately, yeah, so just, yeah, just be aware before you send out the notice to double check whether we're still remote.
Yes, definitely.
And I wish I had a clear answer for you, but I don't yet.
It's quite all right. I just wanted to bring it up because I wasn't sure if there had been conversation about it yet, because I know that pretty much all of us are up in the air on what the plan is everywhere.
Nothing's solid at this point.
Okay. So it sounds like we are looking at July 22nd for continuing this public hearing, right? Does 7:30 work?
That works fine for me.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and move that we continue the public hearing for the ANRAD at Lot ZD 37 to July 22nd at 7:30 p.m.
I second.
All right, roll
The
call
motion.
vote. David,
Aye.
Defont. You're muted, Miriam. We got a thumbs up from Miriam Defont. Harrington
Aye.
and Cregan, aye.
Can I borrow just a little bit more of your time to talk about Pratt South briefly?
Sure.
So Pratt South is the other thing that we had hoped to send you today that was also affected by the servers. I have not received the update for that one yet.
Okay.
Because of that, like they lost everything that they had been doing for like the past 24 hours or so, and they've been madly trying to reconstruct it in terms of plans that GIS have been working on. So they're trying very hard, but technically the deadline for me to give you plans for Pratt South for the upcoming meeting is today. I anticipate that you'll have plans. I'm gonna say Monday because I don't know 100% how far behind they are in reconstructing things. But the Pratt South also needs to be renoticed and renotified because the expansion at that site brought in additional parcels. So like we need to notify because there are new people that are abutters now. And that's like, I need to send instructions to notify people after this meeting. If we're going to stay on the 24th, which I mean is our preference, but I don't.
We legally have to because there was a motion that continued the Pratt South meeting to the 24th. So I believe legally the meeting has to at least be opened and then continued. It has to, yeah, be on the agenda.
Yeah, no, I'm more asking like if we're going to open it and basically continue it, then I'd rather wait to give everyone the meeting where we're actually going to talk about things in terms of notices.
So, well, I think as far as the report, I think in our policies, we actually ask for 10 days in advance, not 14. Am I wrong about that?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think that we've been doing 2 weeks because we've been trying to give Emily a full week so that then you have a full week to see what she had to say. So if you are okay with getting things for Pratt South on Monday, which I think is 100% doable, then I will carry on with getting abutters noticed and getting a new legal ad, though Tessa, I'm gonna need to know if the next
Right.
is supposed to be in person or not.
So the problem is I'm having mixed information From the town, I'm hearing that things are gonna probably stay remote, but legally, my interpretation from MACC is that after the 15th, unless legislation changes, legally, we have to meet in person. So unfortunately, it really depends on the 15th of whether on the 15th, the governor says, oh, yeah, it's okay to keep meeting remotely. I don't know if you have heard one way or the other.
I heard from someone, I think yesterday, that there had been some sort of extension, but I have not had a chance to look into the efficacy of what I heard. So
So yeah, I mean, then I think it's highly likely that the town will stay remote.
okay, I'm concerned about missing the deadline for the paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you
Good
definitely
way
can
to write the
reference-
legal notice that
Yeah, I
the
mean,
council is.
I guess a way to equivocate would be to reference the My Town Government Shutesbury page, which I think is like My Town Government / the 01072 zip code.
Okay.
And that is where the information would be posted on whether it's going to be remote. And you could kind of say, since you need to send it out, like details on whether it will be held remotely or in public can be located on that website.
Would you mind sending me a link to that page? Thank
I
you.
can do that.
I will. That's a great solution. Thanks for suggesting that.
Yeah, well, I would like to go ahead with the 24th still. I don't know how other folks feel about it.
It's fine.
Right with me.
I felt bad that things were not getting in today when I thought they were going to, so I just wanted to double check.
It's okay. Yeah, I think that the 24th would be good.
Right.
I would like to get it done.
Me too.
Me too.
All right. Well, anything else?
Nope, that was everything I had. Thanks for letting me give you all an update.
Yeah, thank you for giving it. All right. Well, thank you, Maria.
All right.
I'll send an email to you after the meeting with that My Town Government email. Or
Sounds good.
website link, sorry, it's not an email.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right. Shall we continue with site visit follow-up? 92 January Hills building permit application. This was a deck replacement. Miriam was there. It was Miriam, Robin, Tessa, and me, right?
I think I left you off
Yeah.
the street, Liam. Sorry. I knew there was somebody. I wasn't sure you were there.
That's okay.
I don't think it matters.
It was a simple one.
Yeah.
There was. It's an exempt activity unless it's in a wetland, and it was not. So we're recommending they sign off on it.
Yep.
Which I have done so, because I got the confirmation from Miriam that was signed. Approval.
All
Thank you.
right. Okay, Old Peach Orchard CR monitoring visit. Robin, do you want to report out on this one?
Yeah, we showed up. I was on the previous walk last year, and everything seemed fine. The trails were fine. There was no nothing happening off trail really. I didn't pull up your your site visit form, Liam. I
Oh,
don't
that's
have it in front of me, but I just remember walking along going, yeah, it looks like it did last year. So
yeah.
haven't
I
done
agree.
anything and no problems.
The only major change, and it wasn't really that major, was that they cut a few branches along the driveway into the neighborhood, which they had asked us about last fall. And they were stockpiled for another winter bonfire, where they had done the one they did last winter. And then Cliff also put in a couple birdhouses for bluebirds along the tree line
Right.
in the meadow. So those were really the only changes on the CR. But other than that, I mean, it all kind of fell within the terms of the CR, so it was fine.
Right, and they're doing
Right.
awesome things for the birds because they used to have a garden, but now Penny said, now that nobody's really using the garden anymore, so they took out the fence, but they left the posts in, and they just put bluebird houses on them, and they're getting a lot of nests, so that's pretty awesome.
We've had a bunch of bluebirds at our feeders this year. That's great.
Wow.
Wonderful to see.
I'm in the middle of the woods, so I don't get bluebirds. I get other cool things, but no bluebirds.
Well, we are also out in the middle of the woods, but they moved in the winter for feeders, as did every other bird in the county.
All right, so we have Historical Commission Southbrook visit on here as well.
I don't have anything to report. I wasn't able to make the visit, and so I haven't talked with anybody yet to find out what came of it. And I think that we're going to probably do another visit because some of us couldn't make it.
Okay.
But some people went out on the 4th?
Yeah, some people went out on the 4th, but I could do it, and there was I think there were maybe only 3 commissioners did. So more to be continued. Our plan is to do a more thorough investigation and mapping in the fall, because to map stone groupings, you kind of need some of the leaves to be down so you can kind of see what's around, either in the spring or in the fall. So my guess is maybe October is going to be the best time.
Yeah, that makes sense. All
And
right.
Liam, I forgot to ask you earlier, do you have time to create a map of the trails on Southbrook?
Yeah, I'm going to be on vacation next week, but I can do it the week after. I need to write it down though.
Can you send me the map that was of the proposed mountain biking trail, Liam?
Yeah. I would like to make a slightly more organized map that separates each trail and then has a legend in the bottom so you can see which one is the proposed trail for the mountain biking, and then mapping out the existing trails as well. So I will do that.
There was discussion at the last historical commission meeting, and I'm trying to remember when that was even. Maybe I've already said this because we've met as a commission since then, but a lot of people on the commission have concerns about that mountain biking project and are not feeling enthusiastic about it.
Okay. Well, we can talk more about it, and it is like when you take an inventory, it would be great if you guys could take waypoints so we could kind of compare where the mountain biking trails are in relation to the historic structures.
Right. Yes, and maybe we can have a joint meeting. We can bring the historical commission maybe to come meet with the Concom about it. Things that people were saying was that they feel like the goals of that parcel of land was for preservation and conservation, and not necessarily also having a multi-purpose recreational trails. The concern is that people who are not local may come out to use the mountain biking trail and will go off trail and damage stone groupings.
Okay, yeah, well, we can have a conversation about that down the line, if that sounds good.
Yep.
All right, so site visit scheduling.
Penny have her hand raised?
It does look raised, but it might be an accident. Penny, is your hand raised for a reason?
Yes, I had a question for Miriam. When the historical group goes out to map stone structures, are you looking at, and pardon me for not knowing the terminology, or colonial structures as well as
Yes, we
pre-colonial?
want to look at both because
Okay.
there are colonial settler features on the property. There's a cellar hole. I believe there's some millworks, some stone
Okay.
walls, as well.
Okay, good. I just was curious whether you looked at stone features, any stone feature from any era that you were able to see.
Any,
And I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
any that we think is human, is a result of human cultural activity. Not,
Okay, great.
you know,
Good to know. Thank you.
we're not going to map every single rock out there.
Yeah, right. There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
The glacier put a lot of them there.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so site visit scheduling. There's a building permit application for a deck on Leverett Road.
Yeah, so there is a wetland mapped on the Mass GIS Oliver in the southwest corner of the property, but that's very far from the house. And I'm assuming the deck is attached to the house, in which case it is outside the 50-foot like exempt or non-exempt area under the Wetlands Protection Act. So I think it'll be a quick visit. I did get in touch with the landowner. He said he's pretty flexible in terms of timing. So we were just I was hoping to pick a date next week that 2 or more commissioners can go on.
Yeah, I can go when we want to do it. My schedule is weird for the next 2 weeks because of childcare needs. So late afternoon is good for me.
Next week, I'm gone, but I could go. I can't go that next week, but I could the week after for both of these visits.
Do they need to be next? Is there a time pressure?
I mean, I'm sure the landowner would prefer to get a sign off sooner rather than later.
I'm available next week except for Tuesday morning.
What if we did Monday, the 14th at like 4:30? Would that work?
I'm okay with that.
Yep.
And like I said, I think this will be pretty quick. So it's most likely exempt.
And close to my house, so not a big deal.
Cool. So yeah, and most likely exempt. And then the other one is the highway department.
Let me just get this in my book.
Sorry, 4:30 on the 14th. And I'll email the landowner.
June 14th, 4:30. Got it. Go ahead.
Sorry. So the other one I have is that the highway department, it didn't work out this week for various reasons. And I still haven't had I have not talked to the highway department still, but I would like that to happen ideally next week. It could be tied in with the other visit. I'm not sure how close they are. I didn't look it up. So that would be 3 sites to visit: the fire station parking lot, the lot that's across the street from it, the 032 lot. They're going to take down the garage, and then a culvert, which I'm blanking on where the culvert is. I'd have to pull that up. But if there's another day next week, that would work.
Yeah, my availability is like for this one because it has to be in business hours because of 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any other time slots I can do next week. I'd like to go on this one. I'm just wondering if we can we put it off to the next week?
So the concern with it is that there's a RDA that's going to be required for the parking lot. It's was they had an RDA, but it was in 2017, so it's expired. I just figured that out in the last couple days, and so I drafted an RDA for them, which I emailed to the fire department today. It needs their signature and just verification that the information is correct, and then we'll be receiving that. And then I guess so, but I guess that still would mean that we'd have to have, it would be, yeah, I guess ideally we'd have a site visit before the 24th, so we could, I'd have to look at
Actually,
it.
I can do Tuesday morning, the 15th.
Does that
That's
work?
when I can't do, so if somebody else can do it with Miriam, that'd be fine.
I
Yeah,
can do it if we need to do it next week.
yeah.
That
Okay.
would be ideal, and I'd be going on that one too, just so I can help with the RDA paperwork.
Does that work for your schedule, Tessa?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that would.
But do you want to, I just have to be back and done by 11:30.
Okay.
So
like-
like 9:30, I could do 8, whatever.
Yeah, Mary, what works for you in the morning?
Anytime's fine.
Okay. I wonder actually if the highway department would prefer 8. I don't, because my impression of them is that they start early, but I actually have no idea.
So that's definitely possible.
I mean, maybe we should just say 9, just because in case they just work 9 to 5. So I will call them and say we'll be showing up. So we'll be showing up at the fire station. We'd start there just because it's a
Looks like Penny has some knowledge.
I know they start at 6 and they finish at 3.
Oh,
Oh, so maybe 8's the
So
move.
9 might be their coffee break time.
maybe lunchtime.
okay.
They can bring us coffee then.
I don't want to do 6 o'clock.
Yeah, really. I don't want to work for the highway department.
So Penny, do you have a recommendation then? Like then is 8 better?
You know, if I were you, I would contact them and ask them what's convenient.
Yeah,
You
I've just
know,
had
their schedule varies from day to day. Someday, if they're out doing a paving project, they can't do it. So I really think as a courtesy, you should check with them before setting the time.
Okay, I've just had a very hard time. I've left a lot of messages and then
Yeah, I know you have to go there and,
okay.
I mean, yeah, I agree. It's really challenging.
Okay, if you guys don't mind then, if you could be flexible between an 8 and 9 a.m.
Yeah.
start.
I wouldn't want to do it later than that just because I have to be out bugging out by 11:30.
Yep. So
I just want to interject. I just want to make sure my notes are correct because I've messed up in the past. I'm going on the Monday, 14 June, 4:30 site visit
yes, to
to
10 left.
10 Leverett Road. And I can't do the Tuesday one because I have an appointment that morning.
Okay.
I can do
So
Tuesday.
Monday's on my calendar, so I'm set.
Yes. And I will do my best to, I don't think they work on Fridays, so I'm going to do my best on Monday to get through to them and plan something for Tuesday.
Got it.
Alright.
Woo!
Okay, there's one more item on the agenda which I skipped, and it's personnel announcements.
Oh, no. Can we just keep skipping that one?
No.
This is ending on a sad note.
I
You want
know.
to go and get a drink, Miriam? You may.
Yeah, I need some sustenance for this.
Yeah, so I have accepted a full-time position at Mount Grace Land Trust as their stewardship manager. So my
That's
last,
exciting. And congratulations.
Well, congratulations.
so my last day
Don't you have to stay for the same amount of time we do? So we complete our terms, wasn't that the agreement?
did not sign anything in that regard.
Scary.
So my last
Nobody else is leaving, are they? Nobody else is quitting? Liam, you're not going anywhere, right?
I'm leaving too, and I
Or two?
essentially my term. I received an option to not renew my term because I was fulfilling. I took over for someone else's, and the select board meeting happened, and I elected to not reconfirm my appointment, mainly because I've been feeling like I've been at capacity with my 9 to 5 world job, and I just don't really anticipate that changing. So I thought it was a good time to say no, I will not be staying on. And so I'm planning to come to the meeting at the end of June, and I can be here to support you all, like as you transition and share knowledge after that too. But I think, yeah, I don't think I can continue to commit essentially, and I feel bad about it. But it's been a process of thinking about it.
And I
Well,
would like to interject my thoughts because I also thought, I signed on, it's a 3-year term. I'm going to end in October of 22. And even though things have been crazy and we've had 3+ hour long meetings in the winter, and, I'm like, get me out of here. And then I got the same message Liam did. Well, your term is actually going to end in the next month. It's like, what? And I was like, okay, I'm just leaving. But I've been talking about it and talking with my husband, and I was like, no, I am not going to resign. I'm going to stick it out. We've only got 2 members. I want to see what the new committee is like with a new land use clerk. So sorry we're losing Tessa. I could cry. And we'll get 2 new members. But if I bailed, there's like 2 committee members and no clerk. I mean, it's like, so I am going to hang around. And so I am not resigning.
Good,
well,
Robin.
I am with
Happy
you.
to hear
thank
that.
you. Thank you, Robin. And Liam, thank you for what you have given us. And, we're sorry to see you go. It's been great having you be chair, and you've been really invaluable in this transition after Penny stepped down. So we all knew that this was probably going to happen for you. So makes sense.
Yeah, I wish I had more time.
Well, I do too, but I totally get where you're coming from, and it was funny when I was freaking out and saying I wish I knew more stuff. My husband goes, "You know Scott Jackson, go to UMass and audit his classes."
Yeah, it's a good idea.
In all your free time, right?
I was like,
Good time.
oh,
Audit.
that's a good retirement activity.
Have we had any tickles of people interested in the commission?
Not recently, so that is something we can talk about putting out the, I'm happy to resend out the posting. If that.
I know I'm not part of the group anymore, but can I just say a couple things? I have a question for Tessa. I have a lot of concern about the land use clerk position, and I just want to ask you how working for the 3 different boards has fit for you. Has it been a good fit to work for all 3 boards?
It definitely is a lot to learn in the beginning. Just
Mhm.
because each one definitely is different. There can be a same task, but it's differently, which is kind of confusing. But to that effect, I just for myself, and then now to help with the transition, I've been putting together a binder that is devoted to just that topic of sorting out what the tasks are. It's been looked at by Grace as town clerk, and she added some stuff about open meeting law, and Becky and I are going to go through it. But definitely, I'm going to be working. My last day officially is June 18th, but you guys have my number. I definitely don't want to completely disappear. I'm happy to help moving forward, and I'm definitely not only having that, but I'm gonna creating a like active project list and making sure that trying to make it as clear for you guys going forward.
So we should go over some, especially given that Liam is stepping down too. I think we need to go over a bunch of at least interim tasks, and delegate to fill in. So, for just even like managing the email account.
Yeah, so
I'm willing to do that if you'll orient me to it, Tessa.
so I will have a clear idea about how that's going to work after I meet with Becky next week. So she's really busy with town meeting, but next week we're going to meet, and then I'll be able to share out exactly like what the sharing of information is going to.
But we won't be meeting as a group.
Right. It'll have to be through email. I mean, yeah, it'll have to be.
So I just wonder, are there any decisions we can make tonight, just so that, between now and our next meeting, that we know.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I can share out stuff that I'm working on, like once I have the active project sheet, and I'm also going to be putting together drafting as much paperwork as I can to make that side of it easier too. So bringing the permit stuff closer to completion. So.
Did you resign from your job in Leverett as well?
Yes, because it was a much smaller number of hours, I might be working at like an hour or two for them for a little longer. But
So
you
will
know,
they, in the interim, will they assign somebody from the town to cover for you?
No.
I'm not, like I said, I really, Becky just hasn't had a chance to think it through because of town meetings. So
So my reason for asking about Leverett is that it has often seemed to me that it would be a good move for Shutesbury and one or two other small towns to combine a job as a conservation agent.
So you should definitely reach out to the chair of the Leverett, because he brought that up. And actually I know, because they reached out to me, that Pelham is also looking for a part-time conservation agent.
Because honestly, if this were a full-time benefited job, I think it would be much easier to have someone stay for a length of time. I think it's not a particularly high-paying job, and it's not very many hours. And for someone who really needs a living wage, I think it's not really feasible. But if it could be turned into a full-time job, I think we could get someone to stay for a long time, and that's really what I think the commissions need.
Sense.
I agree.
Just food for thought.
It's a good idea.
So interesting about Pelham. I'm actually meeting with Becky next week because I have a lot of concerns about how all the boards are going to cope with all the work that you have. So I hope I'm not butting in too much, but I still feel a sense of sort of motherliness towards the commission, even though I'm not on anymore. So anyway.
So the Leverett is definitely potentially interested. I know the chair had to speak to the town administrator to see how possible that is, but the chair at least is interested. And I don't know how much the interest is in Pelham, but I do know they are.
I think that's a great idea. I'm also wondering, maybe this is I know you're going to talk with Becky, which is great, Penny. I'm just wondering, I don't know, should we set up a meeting with Becky ourselves?
Yes, but I tell you what, I'm wondering if, yes, you should.
Or you could report back to us.
I can report back to you, but you know, it's all happening so fast that
Yeah.
and I don't want to get caught up in open meeting law issues, but I'm happy to let you know what comes out of my conversation with Becky. And you can do with it as you choose.
Okay.
But it seems like acting fast would be helpful if if it's possible.
Do we need to appoint an interim or a new chair since?
Well, you know, that's entirely up to you guys. We were without a chair for a long time, and I'm going to exit your meeting now because this is really for you guys to decide. But Robin, I'm really glad you're hanging in there, and
yes,
you and I can have lunch next week.
Well, before or after we plant those
Yeah, exactly. We can talk.
plants, or you help me write the annual report, or
Okay, well, the annual report
Tit for tat.
is super easy because you just fill in the blanks.
Penny, you're
Tessa,
welcome.
have you managed to keep up the big spreadsheet this year?
Yes. So except for the last two, like this meeting and last meeting, the activity log
Fabulous.
today, and I will make sure it is complete for
Good.
where I pass it off. So,
Okay.
yep, and the likewise with the minutes binder. So.
And I do have someone I'm trying to talk into joining the commission, but I'll tell you later who that is because I haven't talked her into it yet.
Well, that's good to hear, though.
well, good luck.
Yeah. Okay. Well, best of luck, everybody.
Can you come back to as many meetings as you want?
Oh,
Yeah, really.
very much. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And when I made my decision to stay on, I hadn't realized, I have to write the annual report and I've got to do.
It was a request, it was not a demand.
I actually always enjoyed
but-
writing the annual report. It was kind of cool to look back and see how much work the commission did because it's pretty
That's
huge
true.
amount of work.
That's true.
Yeah, you'll pat yourself on the back at the end of it and say, "Wow, I did a lot of stuff." Okay, good night, everybody.
All right.
Night.
See you soon.
So does the commission want me to have the posting announcement, the vacancy go back out? Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we were without a chair when Penny was with us, but Penny really did a lot of the things that the chair did, even though she wasn't officially the chair. So if there isn't an official chair, there still probably needs to be some delegation of responsibility. And maybe it would be simpler to just appoint a chair rather than doing that. I'm not sure.
So can we make sure that we announce this at the annual meeting on Saturday?
I don't know if we're going to be able to make
Put
announcements.
something in there, a promo.
I have no interest in being the chair. I don't think I'm been on long enough to be able to do that. So
Yeah, so maybe I would maybe guess that Mary and Miriam feel the same, but I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, I clearly don't have enough experience to be able to be the chair at this point.
I've been a chair of other committees. I don't have a problem doing it.
Okay.
I'll need help, but
Yeah, and I'm wondering, is that something, if there's a vote on that and I'm not part of it, is that something y'all can still vote on? Or
I think I mean, it's up to the commission, but I wouldn't think you couldn't vote on it because
okay, I could vote on it.
you're still a member, even if you're not the chair.
Okay, yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, that would be my take. I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks.
sounds to me.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I think Miriam, you have a lot of the good leadership qualities and you're very motivated to communicate with folks. So I think that you'd probably be a good fit for it.
well, somebody has to make a motion.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we appoint Miriam DeFont as chair of the Shutesbury Conservation Commission.
I second that motion.
All right, roll call vote. David
Hi,
DeFont.
you can vote for
Harrington.
yourself.
Myself.
I mean, I think when we talked about this last time, it was like, it's good to recognize that they are not being forced into it, right? So if they vote to stay.
Yeah. Harrington
Aye.
and Cregan, aye.
Thanks. All right, so
Sure.
we got one disaster solved. Oh man, we got to get some more people on board, huh?
Yeah, and so next meeting, if you have any questions for me beforehand, Miriam, feel free to let me know.
Yes, I would like to set up a time. Maybe we could have a Zoom meeting. We could email each other and find a time.
Yeah, let's be in touch with that. I'm trying to have a no work at all next week, so perhaps the week after, but we can be in touch with that about that. Cool.
And yeah, I will have more information once I meet with Becky about how the intern is going.
If Becky is posting for your position now, and are there qualifications that they put in the job description? What are the
I
requirements?
can send you guys the job if you want. So yeah, if you want to help network by, I'm happy to send out the job description to the commission. I'll make a note of that.
Great. Okay, so should we close the meeting then?
Yes.
All right, I will make a motion that we close the meeting at 8:53 p.m.
I second the motion.
Okay, Miriam, do you want to do the roll call since you're chair now?
Okay, David. She's muted. I think you're muted.
Hi,
Aye. DeFont.
Yeah.
Aye. Harrington.
Aye.
Regan.
And aye.
Aye.
I almost finished you because I almost finished it. Sorry.
Didn't do it in alphabetical
Muscle
order.
memory.
Well, good night, everybody.
good night.
Good night. Take care.
Bye.